everybody, and welcome to another episode of SuperSoul Boulder, and welcome to 2021, right? Like, what a crazy, I mean, it happens every year, but still, after last year, it's pretty exciting. So welcome to SuperSoul Boulder. Happy Monday night, and I'm Dr. Laura Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy, and here we talk about all things mind, body, heart, health, and wellness. Hey, hi Carlos, great to see you. Welcome to SuperSoul Boulder and welcome to 2021, the future. Just kidding. So as we start a new year, it's hard not to think about starting in general, right? Like it brings about that mindset of either restarting, hey Dan, restarting or resetting, or for some people, it's just another day, and that's great. That's absolutely welcome and fine too. Hiya. And it means that, any day, week, month, year, decade, or minute, or moment is an opportunity to start. And so we're always starting, right? So I like to think of the new year, not, it is a continuation and it's a start. Like in our mindset, it can be this time point or time stamp where we get to reflect, let go of some things, see what happened, see what worked for us, and look ahead to what is unknown, right? What is unknown about this year? I mean, heck, last year at this time, we had no idea what we were in store for. And that's happening all the time, right? In people's lives, in our lives, just not as often on such a collective scale. And so it was really evident this past year with all the changes and uncertainties and things people dealt with, grief, all the things. Hey, Bill. So starting again and again and again is like a great thing. It's like the best thing ever because it's an opportunity to step into something from the start, right? And so it got me thinking about, one, why I named my physical therapy practice Yellow Brick PT, and how that, well, I could go on and on about this. We'll say a little, if you saw my post this morning, 2020 was a lot like, and this happens in our lives at different points, but last year was a lot like, getting twisted up, spun around, shaken up, the whole world got a little shaken up, and then we got landed smack down in some unknown territory for a lot of us, right? Whether that meant someone, like you lost a job or lost someone close to you, or things are just different, or you had to pivot, or all sorts of things were changed, right? Can't go this place, can't go that place, can't see these people. So a lot of things happened, a lot of things changed. So that's what I mean by unknown territory, having to deal with maybe your life in a way you haven't dealt with before. And so that's unknown territory. So it's just like, I named my practice Yellow Brick Physical Therapy as an inspiration from one of the great stories in history. Hey Doug, great to see you. John. One of the great mythic stories. And if you've never heard of what Joseph Campbell calls the hero's journey, it's an archetypal format that a lot of our heroic stories of all time have really followed, like Star Wars, like Luke Skywalker, like Harry Potter, like Frodo, and like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. One of my favorites, for one thing, she's like a compassionate hero. Hey, Danny. And she does get, spun around this tornado, land in some totally unknown territory, and have to go on this journey, this road of trials. And along the way she transforms. She also meets friends and helpful allies. She also faces wicked witches and flying monkeys, right? But the point is this, she has to start. And there's this spiral at the beginning that when she lands in Oz and starts on the path. And Glinda, a very helpful ally of hers, for her on that journey, says it's always best to start at the beginning. And why are these wise and simple words? Because it's the beginning. Where else would we start? Where else would we start but at the beginning on any journey? And so the healing journey, the way I see it as a physical therapist, is very much the same. Just like a training or for something, just like running training, just like wanting to work towards something, just like an educational program. So it's anything like that, anything is a journey, and we must start somewhere, and we must start more to the point. We must step on that starting point and go forward, not knowing what it's going to be like, not knowing the twists and turns that'll come, not knowing what we're going to find out about ourselves, not knowing what we'll discover. And that's what was so beautiful about last year. I mean, it's easy to see all the bad stuff, that if you want to call it bad, I'd caution that judgment of calling things good or bad, but instead go beyond and see how much, you know, people grew and learned and changed if they were up for it. Hey, Carlos. How much you grew and learned and changed if you were up for it, if you took that call to adventure, if you didn't resist it, which happens too. And so as we look ahead to this year and beyond this year, it will be unknown territory. It will have twists and turns, and you will be able to be with all of it. And the more you be with everything in your life, the more you're capable of handling whatever comes, right? Helping others handle whatever comes, in what ways you're able to. But there's something about this start that had me thinking, because when I see someone start on the healing process, I like to call it a healing process, because it's not so much about fixing someone. You're not broken. We're healing something that's injured and that's not working properly. We need to get function. And so those words are important. You're not needing fixing, you're needing healing. And that can be in different ways. I happen to get to help people with that physically. But as you know, it's all connected. So there's a lot more that goes into that process that just unfolds as we go. But starting is sometimes the hardest part for people. And I see a lot of people delay on getting help with injuries or getting help with, whatever it is they're struggling with. So let's take this, physical injuries. They'll delay and maybe ignore it, or maybe think it'll go away, and maybe not want to get help or not want to invest in themselves in that way. All these things. We have all these beliefs and resistances and things that keep us from starting. Keep us from starting something that we know will be good for us, or starting something that we know will help us in some way, will help us grow. Or maybe it's the uncertainty of that keeps us limited or blocked from taking that step, from stepping forward into unknown territory, from going down a path that we're not quite sure about yet. Hey, Jerry. And that's all okay and well and good, but isn't it exciting to start? Isn't it exciting it can be scary too. It can be scary exciting. And that's absolutely fine. But I would hate for anyone to not start something that can help them grow and change and progress or heal or whatever it is, just for the fear of it, or just for the pattern of not doing it or ignoring it or any of those things, right? Because starting, whatever it is, starting to make a physical change in your body, starting to go towards something you're interested in, starting, whatever that might be, a new relationship, going down a path, starting a new shift in your life, whatever that might be. It's scary, exciting, because it's unknown territory ahead. It's going to have those twists and turns, those, wicked witches and flying monkeys, but also those helpful allies and those friends that show up along the way that you couldn't have expected either. Those self-discoveries that you couldn't have expected. And Danny says there are so many amazing things that can be done, endless potential. If it is to be, it is up to me. Yeah, it's up to us to take that step. It's up to us to hear the call to adventure, as they say in the hero's journey, to go toward. And Dan says I can write 10,000 word essay on this topic. Wow, cool. I love that. I have to say more. Dan, this just makes me think of, as runners, I like to help people remember that it's important to get to the starting line of a race intact. So often we can think of the end point and the end goals and the end results. And that's why I feel so passionate today, the first Monday of this new year, in talking about the start. Because just being with the start of it, and that, unknown, that wondering is cool, it's good, opens a door. It's like walking through a threshold and into a new you, or not necessarily a new you, but in a way, right? To find out how you will transform, how you will grow, how you will change. You're the same you, and yet you're different. It's just like the body. It's the same body that you have, but when we allow it to heal, when we when we release some of the restrictions and blockages and things that are getting in the way of your freedom of movement, it can feel like a new you, even though it's the same you, right? It's like releasing or uncovering the you that's been there all along. And that is the point of the journey, to uncover the you that's there all along. It gets covered over by all these layers. Physically, we have tension and restrictions or injuries or problems, very real things. Internally, we might have these beliefs and conditioning and ideas and our personalities, and a lot of those things are natural and normal, and they can limit us and keep us fixed into a small container that's not always necessarily the full expression of you. And so the starting point can be this, it can be a point of moving forward, a point of looking down a path that you can't see yet. And that's okay. You're not meant to see it. You're meant to, right, engage with that unknown and be with what comes along and decide along the way and learn and grow. So it's such a learning path. And it's not only about just starting. I was thinking about this a little later today. It's sometimes where you start, right? It's important to start where you are. In fact, I would underline that, because when it comes to healing your physical body, we really want to start where you are, not take leaps and bounds or add a gazillion things or make it overwhelming. You want to start where you are. And it's those little changes or little decisions each day that add up, and that consistency each day that leads to the change and transformation. It's the taking the step. We've talked about steps already before here, and taking the step each way along the path, each brick along the road. Dan, I'm sorry, I missed your comment. Carlos says, speaking of getting started, I would say that is the most important, followed by focusing on the process and not, I'm guessing you're saying the result. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said focus. That came to my mind earlier today too. It's like, as we end a previous year, we're releasing and letting go to make room for more focus. Hey, Marsha. To make room. There's room for more focus when we kind of release what's happened and let go of some of those things by being with them, right? We talked about that last week. And then being able to focus our energy and be in the moment as much as possible. And that's where every moment can be a start. Every day, every sunrise, every moment, every whatever it is, we can always come back. You can always come back to you. And that is always like a restart or a start or starting over and over and over again. And so it's not so much about this one starting point, although that's a very poignant place, right? Because there are phases along the journey that are like starting points. And when it comes to the body, it becomes important where we start. So we don't want to start treating a problem that is a function problem by strengthening. Because if you don't have function, how are you going to strengthen a muscle? If a muscle doesn't have function, how are you going to strengthen it? We cannot start with strengthening when it's a function problem, when it's a neurological problem, when it's a pliability problem, you're just not going to get that far. So if you start with strengthening for the wrong kind of problem, you're only going to get so far. So it's important to start, and then it's important also where you start when it comes to certain things, right? What are you bringing? What intention are you starting with? What is it you're looking to wanting to do this year or beyond, or today, or whatever that looks like? You just want to keep that open, right? And then it's so much like the physical body. We've got to keep the focus on where it's needed, or get the help where we need to understand that. Hi, Jack. Thanks. So it's important to start a process or a day or something you may feel you'd like to change in yourself. And then it's important to know where you're starting and why, and what it is you're after, and what it is that is a goal or intention coming from the real you, or is it coming from your personality, your ego self? And maybe that will be disappointing or fleeting, right? So where is that coming from? Where are you starting from? And if nothing else, as Glinda says, it's always best to start at the beginning. So if you're not sure, then start there, you know? And if it's hard to know where that is, that's okay too. And certainly if you have a physical problem, that's my joy and expertise is knowing where to start, where to begin getting to that root cause. And if so, there lies, you know, we're talking about starting without maybe context to it, but you can, oh, I love Jack. Yes, Jack, thank you. From your heart. Why didn't I even think of that? Yeah. Oh, that's excellent. You guys are so great. Yeah, when in doubt, start from your heart. Turn in. What is it saying? What is your momentum? What's pulling you forward? Where does your heart want to go? Where is it leading you? Where is it taking you? Watch out for your mind. It really wants to tell you a lot of things. And a lot of times it's based on outer world comparisons or shoulds or supposed tos or accomplishments. And I got to tell you, that's just not the real you. But if you come from your heart, you're much more likely to tap into what is real and true for you personally, your unique self. Also, when it comes to the body and our endeavors and our activities and things we want to do, that's all unique to you too, you know? And when you're making those decisions after the start and along the way and along the journey, you've got to feel into your heart and your body and trust those places to know. And maybe you'll be, you know, feel like you're wrong about it a time or two, but practicing that, right, might strengthen that muscle of awareness towards what your heart's telling you, what your body's telling you, which has a knowledge that's beyond your mind. I'm not saying your mind is wrong or bad. I'm just saying it is very active, which means it wants to direct you based upon all the structures that aren't as solid or as substantial as your physical body and your heart space that can tell you more. But you have to listen a lot more closely and quietly to those places. Starting that could be its journey on its own. Yeah, Jack, you mentioned doubt, and that's a big limiting factor that comes in to play when we are on these journeys and on this road of trials. We're going to have doubt and uncertainty and even worth issues come up, you know? And so we've got to be with those, work with those, see those for what they are, and in that way, journey along the path. You know, in that epic story of the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy encounters three friends, the Scarecrow, who represent, I'll say this, who represent the brain or mind, the heart, and the body or courage, the way I see it. And those are aspects of herself that she also discovers, and that are portrayed by those characters. And they also all find that they have those within what they're seeking within them at all times. They always have the ability to see or find or return to those attributes. And that is a key point to starting in and of itself. You can always start or return to yourself, to your home, to your heart, to your own body in a physical form of, space and on the earth. And I have to say, going down that path of discovery, whatever it is you're doing in the outer world, you can always follow this inner journey and discover the ways that it juxtaposes and deepens your outer world in life. That's true, Jack. He says Oz never gave the Tin Man anything he did not already have. Same with all of them. They all had the ability. The Scarecrow was the most clever one, coming up with all the plans and ideas and schemes. So he certainly had brains. And the lion, people tend to think of courage like a warrior, but it's also the very day-to-day simple challenges of being afraid and doing it anyway. Being afraid and feeling the fear. And he does that throughout. And Dorothy always had the power to return home anytime she needed. So they all each had each attribute all along the way. And Dorothy is cool because she's a compassionate hero. Along her journey, I will say she went from the meek and the small up against the Oz, the great and powerful, the first time, and returned to him very assured, and both with a broom that she got only because she was trying to save her friend from his arm on fire, and not backing down. So it's subtle, but it's a transformation. And that's what can happen each year and each time you set upon a journey, or you are on one, even if you're not aware of it yourself. But even if it's something that you want to work towards this year or change this year, it's you're worth it to start. And knowing where you're starting and why is very important. And then you can the cool thing is you can start and start again and be open to the unknown, to the unexpected, to your own discovery along the way. And if it's something that you're changing or working toward in your body, whether it's increased fitness or increased health, or drinking water more often, or getting more sleep, or be consistent with those things and see what happens. Get excited about what might come. There might be scary things or difficulties, challenges, disappointments, but there's also going to be some cool stuff too. Stick with it. And you'll build more and more momentum as you go along. But I love what Jack said too. Start from your heart and see if you can continue to hear what it's saying, and to follow its call. And answer that call to adventure, that call to action, that call to discover and see what's there. So I hope you're off to a great start to the year, and to the day, and to the week, whatever you are starting. And I'd love to know what you have, what you're up to, what you're starting or not starting, what starting means to you. And my invitation to you for this week is to simply be aware of all of your starts and how you can always be starting in a moment and coming back to yourself, or deciding again, and and enjoying the unknown and the bright, spontaneous and playfulness like Yellow Brick Road. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me and kicking this year off with another Super Soul Monday on SuperSoul Boulder. I am Dr. Laura Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy in Boulder. I'm always happy. I love your comments and your questions and your input, and let me know if you're here or watching the replay. Always let me know if you have any physical ailments that need some attention or want to have a conversation with me. I'm always open for that. And I hope you have a wonderful start to your first week of the year and that your 2021 is off to a beautiful start. Take care and have a great night. Bye.